Welcome to the Christian Media Marketing Show. My name is John, and I'm happy to be with you today. I think you're in for a real blessing. Today's guest is going to be our director of marketing here from Kavanah, which is Amanda. And Amanda is very experienced in the whole realm of digital engagement. She is a blessing to our business's mission, and she is to so many other people as well. And one of the key things that Amanda brings to just our ministry is a willingness to dive deep, to really take amazing notes, and to help us chart out what is coming and what kind of testing and things do we need to do. And so today's episode is all about what she's seeing in especially the area of Meta, but just in the broader sense of AI and some of these other tools that are out there of how it's impacting marketing. What I think you're going to be surprised is to hear how the simplifying of what Meta is doing is actually showing even better results in the ads and the testing that we have been doing for months. So I don't want to wait any longer. Here is Amanda from Kavanah Media, and we're going to be talking about some of the new changes with Advantage Plus and a lot of other tools like that. Here we go. All right. Welcome to the show, Amanda. Thank you for bringing your wisdom and experience and sharing it with everybody today. I'm glad you're here.
I'm excited to join.
Right. So Amanda is, as I was saying in the pre-show notes here, that she is the director of marketing for Kavanah Media. And you were just saying before we started recording, it's what, 50 some accounts that you personally are managing right now?
Currently, it's about 50 or a little bit below that.
Right. Which is amazing. And we are grateful for it. And you are, when we were looking to expand, you were the first person that popped in my mind. Your experience, your your willingness to even just take charge of things and move us forward as a business's mission has been incredible for what we're doing. And the other part about you that you've done is your willingness to train. So bringing in, working on the science, but the art of what it is that we do. And you lean into both areas of it. And you have been extensively involved with really hard level training. Like I've sat in on some of them and it is deep and thorough and so good. So I'm glad that you're here today to share just some of your thoughts about what we're seeing happening out there today. So I think the reason that made me want to do this is to get your input to share with everybody about what I'm seeing, which is the simplifying. I don't want to say dumbing down because I don't think it is, but it is simplifying. It's bringing in automation and AI and lots of different tools. But some of the options that were there even just a couple of months ago are gone or are changing. Like it seems to be changing all of the time. So I'd love for you to share a little bit just about your experiences recently with Advantage Plus and a lot of these things that Meta and others are doing to try to simplify the process. What are you seeing as far as its impact on ads, on the effectiveness of them?
So 10 years ago, um, Meta was pretty clunky in what it required of advertisers, but that also gave a lot of options for us to visibly see, whether it was through targeting or different interest options that are no longer even legally available. And so now it is a lot simpler with how they are using AI to allow marketers to just click a button and say, you guys take care of it. We'll find the people, which can be pretty scary for a marketer and somebody that wants to know the data, wants to know why, wants to know how it's reaching people, what content it's using. But as we have looked at the data over the course of these changes, we've actually seen that the cost per result is going down and the results in general are increasing. And so Meta released a statement saying that it's roughly 17% lower cost per result when you use Advantage Plus. And compared to our ad accounts and what we are doing, um, we are seeing similarly. And so Our team has been testing this since it first rolled out as even an option in January. And so we're about 9 months into testing specifically their Advantage Plus audiences. And what that means is that you are telling Meta, or clicking a box saying, go and find the right people to see this ad. So before we were using things like lookalike audiences and retargeting, interest targeting, using very specific radiuses for neighborhoods and languages. And a lot of that is still important and available. But much of it too is just telling Meta, you have learned from my previous ads, and you know the behaviors of the people within these parameters. So I want you to put my ad in front of the right people. And we're seeing that it's doing it. So that would way that it's
Are
effective.
there things that need to be done to give that information you think to Meta? Or so if it's a brand new account, would you do something different from the beginning? Or are you finding it honestly, if you give it enough time and money, it's going to find the right people for you?
Yeah, I think relatively speaking, it's still better than starting from scratch because Meta will always have more information on our audience. You know? And so giving a general audience and allowing Meta to work with that is going to perform best. And I think some of it too, I don't want to be naive to what's happening. I think a lot of why we're seeing better results are because we're playing Meta's game.
Mm,
Uh, so I know that, and I'm, we can be aware of that, but not necessarily resistant to it either. Because at the end of the day, we want to reach people, and um, if it benefits Meta and us, then I think that's still worth pursuing.
right. There's several social media people out there that I follow and listen to their advice, and everything you're saying seems to be exactly what I'm hearing. John Moomer would be one of them. He used to have some of the most intricate funnels, all this kind of stuff going. He's like, there's no need anymore. Like you don't have to. And so in some ways that's great. Like I think that's great. I think it's really wise too, that you're testing on it. Are there other parts of this that you're testing, or you're like, hey, this is interesting. We think this may hold some promise?
I think the next big rollout is going to be within our content itself
Mm,
as the ad level. So previously, I was talking mainly about the ad set level, but within the creative elements, I think what is now an option may no longer be an option. So we're talking things like text options and video and image enhancements. So previously, you could use different variations and manually put them in there. But you might have seen that now when you paste any text into the primary text or the headline, it'll automatically give you options for small variations of that same text. And then similarly with video and images, they've actually automatically selected like add music in this video in this image. And so these are the types of changes that I want to be mindful of because the message that we are delivering is one that um, we don't want to be skewed, and so I want to be aware of that this is a sensitive message, and especially like with music, I don't think they would add music with words or that isn't appropriate, but that's something that we need to be careful of. um, and just be on the forefront of testing and seeing what our options are. Because similar to Advantage Plus, it may no longer be an option. And so, what Meta is doing is say you select the 5 AI text variations that it's come up with, it's going to use combinations of that text to put a ad together for a specific person. So, really similarly to how Google already does this. with different headlines and descriptions, just working together to find the best message for each person.
Yeah, and so you're thinking that these things, though they're optional right now, probably won't be then in the future?
I think they either won't be optional or we'll see that because we're not playing Meta's game, our results go down. Um, so I think you could say both of those are not optional. So, say on the front end of it, what that would look like would be to come up with the variations ourselves so that we have some control over those options. We aren't just selecting, especially when we're getting into different languages. You want to be able to verify that what we're saying is truthful and within the right messaging.
Yeah. So are there other things that you're seeing that are happening out there that either you think we need to be aware of or concerned about or excited about? Are there other things or changes or good or bad that you're seeing?
I think our learning is going to have to adjust. Whereas before, when we would test things, it was very controlled in its testing environment. We are losing some of that. And so I think it'll be more important than ever to know how to read the data and also have just good record of what information we gave Meta to test in general. And so that's something that, as a Kavanaugh team, we're trying to get better at, and just making sure that we know, even if it's checking off Advantage Plus as an option, that we've noted that so that, 6 months from now, when we're looking at the data, we know that that significant change happened and that affected what we saw.
Right. This reminds me of when a lot of the tracking from the Pixel was going away. They warned us, and but I knew it was coming. And so we were able to get ahead of it and test, and I haven't, I don't believe, a huge negative because it's not like that information's not there. It's just not available to us on it. And so it makes sense that the algorithm and AI is going to continue to be better and better, which I guess begs the question, what's the purpose of your specialty? What's the purpose of Kavanaugh then if you can just jump in there and say, take it away, AI?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And like I said, I'm on a lot of different ad accounts. And the crazy thing is that these changes, they don't just say, like, okay, September 20th, we're going to roll out this change. It'll be small and unrecognizable
Hmm.
a lot of, and it'll be on one of my ad accounts, but not another. And the other one won't come for 3 more months. And so it is really difficult to stay on top of these changes if you aren't in it every single day and living and breathing um, as a manager. And so I think a real value add that we bring is being aware of those changes and when they could come for our ad accounts. And then, like I said, having the sample size that we do to test as much as we do and being able to say, I've been testing this for 9 months and this is what I see. So that when a team is just starting their strategy, we have years worth of learning um, and are able to be aware of those changes and even utilize in a way that somebody that is doing this with just an hour to a week just doesn't have the time for.
Right. Yeah, there's a tool we're working on. We're so close. And once I get it done, we're gonna open source it and put it out there for everybody to be able to do. But it is data analysis and a way to look at data. I mean, I think there's close to 300 some accounts that I'm on. I think that Kavanaugh has access to. There's truly a global database of data to start to see these trends like you're talking about, whether it's location, time of year, what type of ad things, even things we probably never even thought of. to be able to look at it. I think it's going to be really powerful to be able to have the data, but be able to do analysis. Because without it, it's just trivia, and it's all it is. And so I'm appreciative of how much you're leading in this area and leading out to it. If you were to be talking, I know we have 28, I think, new teams that are coming on board literally here in about a month or two that are new ones starting in digital engagement. But if you were just talking to somebody that's out there and they're looking at all of these things, what would be a couple of like recommendations maybe you would say to them, some nuggets, some takeaway things?
I would say, think about how your content is a form of interest targeting. So, for example, if you are really wanting to, I hear this all the time, I really want to target college age students. So we can tell Meta as of now that we want to target a 1 mile radius around this college. And we can tell Meta to target people between the ages of 18 and 24. But that's going to give us a very small audience. And those are a lot of boundaries to put on those audience controls. And so, how can we instead see our content as the filter? So, what are things that college students are thinking about? They're thinking about the stress of exams. They're thinking about very specific things that giving Meta the freedom to target a larger audience, but seeing the content itself as a filter, and using our creative to be what we're focusing on for that, I think will yield better results. And you could say the same thing for any unique aspect of your audience, whether it's language or felt needs, just really focusing on that side of things, because teams will come in with really specific interest targeting because they've heard uh, in previous uh, um, rules and settings that we can do that, and either we can't do it anymore legally, or it's just not as effective as they may have heard it was at one point. And so that's where I would shift the focus, is seeing how can we get better with our content and our creative to find the right.
Oh, that's good. That's good stuff there. Yeah, I mean, I'm guilty of saying, "Hey, here's the thing," and then it's not the answer anymore. In fact, it's probably just wrong. I wish in some ways I could go back and just take away a lot of the training that I still see out there at times because yes, what was possible is changing and it seems to be changing really, really fast. So concentrating on the content, being able to do that. Is there anything else? Any other like takeaways that you would say, "Hey, be do this, don't do this, whatever else."
So maybe we should put a caveat that if you're listening to this 5 years from now or even 5 months from now,
Yeah.
let's do it, because it will probably change. And I think that's the other thing is um, just being willing to be flexible, being willing to experiment. The teams that are, I think, most excited about what's going on are those that are not being more complicated, not being uh, even really cutting edge with testing, but just willing to make these small incremental changes over time and learn from them. If you do your first ad and it doesn't perform as you expected, um, understanding that that is normal and part of the learning process,
Yeah.
and that this digital space is really, I say this all the time, but it's really uh, similar to what people are experiencing on the field. You're testing different ways to approach people. You're testing different ways to interact with them, what questions to ask. And you're failing a lot. Like when you approach someone and they just look at you with a blank stare and walk away. Like that happens a lot with ads. We just don't feel it as personally. And so to be okay with trying new things, yeah, and learning from other people trying new things too.
You bet.
Team take those collective learnings, and help our teams as they are creating their ads.
great. So just incremental changes. Don't be afraid to test. There's going to be things that fail, things that just flop. It's okay. What can we learn from it? So I mean, I've said this because I stole it from my daughter's jujitsu coach, but you either win or you learn. And so every ad, it may be great, but we can learn from it. And so I'm thankful for you, Amanda. I learn a lot from you. I'm thankful for your leadership and just your steady hand for our marketing team of trying to continue to innovate and learn and serve mission teams and orgs all around the world to the best of your ability, the best of our ability. So thanks for just sharing your wisdom today. And I would love to have you back on a lot more often. So I think there's a lot that you can be sharing. So thanks so much. All right. I hope that was a blessing to you. Amanda is a tremendous blessing to our business's mission and to so many teams around the world. So I appreciate her experience and sharing some of that with you and me today. I hope that you will subscribe, that you will share, the standard greetings, the standard things like we have to always say, especially for YouTube videos. But I really do mean it. I hope that our podcast and the video show that it is a benefit to you. I hope that our weekly marketing newsletter is a benefit to you. And we even have a monthly or so newsletter of just praise reports of things that we're seeing God doing around the world. You can sign up for those as well just to hear what God's doing and to join us in praising Him. Lord willing, next week on the show here, I'm going to be sharing about a piece of software that we have begun using with some of our teams that's helping them really manage the comment section of their ads. And it's actually really cool. There's some very strategic ways you can use it. So I'm going to be sharing about this software. It's not super expensive, but I'll be sharing about it in next week's episode. As always, if there are things that you want to hear about, things that we can share with you, things that you want to share with us, I'd love to hear them. We'd love to learn from you. Until next time, keep pressing forward and joining God in the renewal of all things. Take care and God bless.